Good afternoon. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. And we are at Kiefer Mazda because Ron, hold on just a sec. You know Ron. Hey. He's our sponsor of our show today. And do I want to tag Rick Dancer? You bet I do. Oh, I also, hold on, we have to take care of a little housekeeping here.
You just told me you were live, too.
Got to make sure people are, that they know. If we don't turn that off, people come on and want to ask questions, and then we all go sideways.
Oh, okay.
So it's crazy. Hey, Jason, you're going to have a treat today. This is TJ, and he is with the Juggernaut Initiative, and we're going to tell you more about what that is. Ron Story from Kiefer Mazda is the one who hooked me up on this thing. So a couple weeks ago, TJ did this video live on his own page. He's out of Albany. And it was really interesting. He's a bad dude. He was a bad dude. And Ron
now he's a bad dude.
No, he's bad. And Ron said, Rick, you got to connect with this guy. And we did. And TJ worked his schedule out today to come down here and talk to you because this kind of ties in really well with everything that's going on right now. In our culture right now with kids, people asking questions. What do we do about school shootings? What do we do about our kids, disenfranchised kids, that kind of thing? So, and Ron can relate to this because he was kind of a bad kid too.
Not as bad as TJ, but.
So TJ, talk to us. What is a Juggernaut Initiative?
Basically, it's just a nonprofit organization designed at getting kids involved and helping them overcome the hurdles that we're dealing with today. Over the last 20 years since I was a kid, we've seen a steady increase in criminal activity, drug and alcohol use, teen pregnancy, teen suicide, the obvious stuff that's on the news right now. And I think I wholeheartedly believe that if you really look into it, it's because kids aren't involved anymore. And I believe that's because it's not as accessible as it was when I was a kid. I mean, it used to be much, much cheaper and more accessible to get into sports and after-school programs, and it's just not. It's not a reality for lower-income families or families that have both parents working all the time that can't get their kids to and from those things, and as a result, they're getting bored, making bad decisions, and that's on us as the adults.
So that kind of defines your childhood, huh, Ron?
Very much so. In fact, in relation to that, the reality was I grew up on the country, and my parents were working all the time, so we had to fend for ourselves a little bit, and yeah, we couldn't afford it. Even back when I don't want to date me, but back in, not as old as you, but no offense to Rick.
TJ, do you notice he said he wasn't as bad as you, and now he's not as old as me?
Right.
I mean,
I got to soften myself a little bit, guys.
What is this guy? So I'm old and you're bad.
Long story short, I couldn't afford to do the sports. My brothers and I, we tried to do it. We worked full time, tried to make a living to pay for our stuff, and you can't do both. As a kid, you're going to school, you're trying to make good choices, and you end up just making the easy choices, which you and I talked about a little bit earlier, which is, unfortunately, the path of least resistance in this world is the bad stuff, because they're easy.
So your past, kind of tell us, TJ, a little bit about your past.
Very, very not good. I had good parents. My dad left at a young age, and we kind of grew up jumping house to house and getting in a little bit of trouble, not doing so good in school, getting lots of fights. Me and my brother is who I'm talking about. But she was always a great mom, and she remarried, I think, when I was 10. And we moved from McMinnville to Lebanon, Oregon, and at that point is kind of where I took a turn for the worse. I started getting less involved in after-school activities and sports and things and making some not-so-great decisions. And I got involved with drugs at a young age, alcohol at a young age, and as a result of falling out of sports, I found myself with a lot of time on my hands and hanging out with a group of similar kids. And when you have a group of kids that are bored and unengaged in things and don't believe in anything, don't belong to anything, you make some bad decisions, and that ultimately ended me up in the juvenile correction system, looking at serving some pretty serious time, and I ended up getting a second chance, and I'm very
Did you end up in prison?
No, I never went to prison. I got a second chance, so yeah.
So when you go to the schools, what are you telling kids? What are you telling them to help make a difference? Because so many of our children are getting disconnected, and that's concerning all of us right now, because we're seeing those are some of the kids that are actually participating in these school shootings because they don't feel like they belong.
Right, and think about it. If they belong to some kind of group or after-school activity, sports teams, I don't care if it's chess club, they belong to something. They have a network of friends that they can talk to if they're having a bad day or feeling alone or disengaged with everybody. You know, a lot of these kids that we're seeing in that particular situation, like the school shootings, you know, everybody's talking about they were loners and they were weird and this and that, but I mean, how did they get there in the first place? You know, we're focusing on this problem after it's already developed and they've shot up a school, or a kid commits suicide or gets arrested for some kind of dumb stuff that he did, you know, robbing a house or whatever. But what got him to that point? Like, that starts long before they commit they perform that action. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody says, Derek says on here, parents need to get involved.
Absolutely, parents need to get involved. I think a lot of this falls at the parent's doorstep. But what if a parent does want to get their kids involved, right? But they're working 2-3 jobs,
right,
and they're low income, and you know, for my mom back in the day, if it was as expensive back when I was a kid as it is now for a kid to play, say, popcorn or football, that's 2 weeks of groceries. Are you going to feed your kids, or are you going to let them play football?
So do you think that we always get off on these debates on other things, other issues, and I could bring them up, but it's always at the end level, and we never seem to go to this level that you're talking about with the Juggernaut Initiative, is to go into the schools to where the kids are, and we got to get them back connected, because
right,
you can take care of all the Band-Aid issues on the outside and say, oh, well, let's do this, this, and this, and that'll prevent it. It's not going to prevent it.
No.
You know that.
It's still going to happen.
What's the thing that kids relate to the most when you go into a school?
Because I've been there. I'm not your, you know, the Juggernaut Initiative is not from a religious background. I have no problem with religion. But one thing I had a problem with as an at-risk kid is that the only people that seemed to care were youth pastors and things like that, or suits from the juvenile system, and I couldn't relate to those people. I knew that they'd probably never been where I was. It seemed like they always had some kind of agenda of their own, and to be frank, I just didn't trust them because I knew that they'd never walked in my shoes. So I think that's a big part of this, is when I go to these schools and talk to these kids that are having trouble and having issues, they can, 5 minutes with them and they know that I've been there.
Well, and Rick, I think that the conversation that someone had earlier about it starts with the parents, I guarantee you, your mom really wanted to make the best in your life that they could. And unfortunately, you know, my daughter once said something to me the other day, and I thought this holds ground, and that is that we don't have time to be parents, really. I mean, our society is so expensive, it costs so much money to make a living, and, you know, I don't even know how people survive off minimum wage, but there's people that make a life of living off really bare.
All right, sorry guys.
We're back.
We just had a little Wi-Fi issue there. So anyway, you were saying, Ron.
I'm just wondering, you know, in his initiative sounds like he's really focusing on something that I think is long overdue, and that is how do we keep kids doing healthy things, staying in healthy lives, when parents, because we don't think we're going to be able to change that parents have to work. I don't think that's going to ever go away.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think that's the way of our world. But what we need to make, I feel like we need to make some changes, and it sounds like you're really working on that. Is focusing on some stuff that's important.
So Juggernaut, somebody had asked earlier, how do they get a hold of you? Where do they find out what
you
you're
can
doing?
go to our Facebook page, just the Juggernaut Initiative.
Jason got it. Thanks, Jason. You're awesome. I
Awesome.
appreciate that. So, yeah, because I think I saw a thread the other day where people were kind of sort of blaming parents, saying parents need to be more aware of what their kids are doing and that kind of thing. But when you're just struggling to get food on the table.
Guys, a great example. I mean, shoot, do I send my kid to Pop Warner football, or do I feed him for the next 2 weeks? I mean, come on.
Right. So how does your program attach that? Because you're going to go into these kids, and you're not, you tell me this. So kids can smell BS a mile away.
Oh, yeah.
You knew when somebody was really trying to help you or when they were trying to steer you to something.
Well, it's in my mind back then, it was steering me to what their cookie cutter version of what I was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And that you weren't going to get through to me with that.
And kids don't relate to that at all.
No, not at all. And especially with this generation, you know, a lot of people make fun of the Tide Pod generation and all this stuff, man. And honestly, I think if you look a lot deeper than that, you've got kids that are self-thinkers, and there's a lot of good leaders in this generation, really, but they have no direction. Where, you know, kids are traditionally told from the time they're born until they start becoming young adults where to go, what to do, how to do it, when to do it, all those things. And with no supervision and no engagement in programs, they're not learning all that. So they're making up their own decisions. They're making up their mind on what they should be doing and getting in groups and doing it. And that's where you see all this dumb shit happening with the Tide Pods and all that, you know.
Well, you think about it, I probably would have ate one of those things.
Right. I don't know about that.
They look really pretty kind of yummy, you know. No one told me they're bad. I'd eat it.
So you go to what TJ does is he ends up going to schools, and he was at Lebanon High School where he went to school. I'm sure some of your teachers looked at you kind of because
yeah, I got a lot of funny looks.
Is that TJ?
By the way, you guys can't see this guy, but he's a pretty big guy.
Oh, he's a tad dude.
He's
he
a
comes
big
in.
dude.
He looks like the guy. You know, there he is. There we go. We can show him. We can embarrass him a little bit. Here.
Stereotypical bad guy.
But why do you give her rep? Why do you get? I mean, you got things to do. You got your own family. You got 2 5-year-old twins. You
because I don't want it to be this way when my kids get to that age. You know, I've got a daughter that kind of followed in the same footsteps that I was pursuing years and years ago, and she's finally getting her feet under her, so that's good. But I have 2 5-year-old twin boys, and I'm looking at everything happening now, and I think that if we start now, in 5 years, we'll see a big difference. You know what I'm saying? The kids that have issues right now that are already at that teen level and going into early adulthood, I mean, that's its own challenge. But if we can get them at the Pop Warner age and get them involved and show them that there's more to life than just being plugged in and all that kind of stuff to whatever, electronics, video games, YouTube, all that stuff, and get them back involved into after school sports and things where they're learning those core values and that direction, then I think long term, short term, 4 or 5 years, when they're at that middle school or high school level, you'll start to see things turn around and the attitude in kids change.
So how important is connection for kids?
Big time.
To feel like you belong and connect.
Well, right. I mean, look, Xbox Live, man, it's a network of thousands of people that you can get on and have somebody to play with all the time. So, they're doing that and plugged in all the time because they're not involved in things. If they were going and playing sports with people, they're building relationships, lifelong friends, they're learning how to be the best, which, I mean, in my opinion, is what this country was founded on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so does it kind of bug you, TJ and Ron? I mean, when you hear people talking, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to go there, okay? And if you guys don't like it and you don't have to watch or pay attention, that's fine. But it's like when you hear everybody talking about, we need to get gun control and do this, and when to me, I was not a great kid. I was a pretty troubled young man, and I wasn't connected. I didn't go out for any kind of after-school sports. I was alone all the time. I started smoking pot. I was doing all those things that got me in trouble. And we keep talking about we're not talking about the real problem is getting kids connected to something, and whether you're gun or anti-gun or whatever. But it bothers me because we keep going back to the same conversations rather than going, how the hell do we get to a kid to make them feel like they're somebody?
Well, yeah, you can take guns out of this world, and it's not going to resolve the problem. My opinion, the gun isn't the problem. It's way before the gun.
It's the same thing with
drugs aren't the problem. Guns aren't the problems. Those are problems, but
those are symptoms.
It's the same thing with any issue that you look at. I mean, I'm a mechanic, so this is how I think of it, right? We got teen suicide, drugs, alcohol, teen pregnancy, all this stuff, school shootings, right? And we're focusing on all these problems after they've already become an issue, right? So why aren't we going back long before that ever happens and focusing on prevention and preventing those problems from ever happening? I mean, I'm a mechanic, so I look at it like this. If my battery's going dead in my car all the time, and I replace it, and that brand new battery goes dead all the time.
There's got to be a deeper issue than the battery.
There's a deeper issue than the battery. I'm not going to keep wasting money on these issues.
Well, it's like teen pregnancy, man. I mean, it's a bad deal, but you're sure we could put condoms in every square corner of the building,
right.
But that's not the issue. The issue is going back to your thing. If you got nothing going on, what are you going to do? I mean, I think about me, and what do I do when there's nothing going on? I'm going to find something to do, whether it's productive or non-productive. I'm going to stay busy, so however you look at it.
And when you're a kid, you're
going to be even worse. Well, you're going to make decisions based off of what everybody else in your clique's doing. You know, everybody else is having sex. Let's do it. Everybody else is shooting things or
peer
killing
pressure's
people.
a real motherfucker amongst kids. You know what I'm saying? You want to fit in, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Everybody wants to be everybody's friend. You know, and what I found as I get older, you find your own way in life. But as a kid, you're learning your path in life, and what your peers are doing is usually the way you're going to go. So,
heck yeah.
So the Juggernaut Initiative is trying to reset that kind of. You're almost like a reboot, a kid. You're trying to reboot a kid so that they can go. You don't want to be where I was,
right?
And and you don't want to be where Ron was or where I was. You want to be this different person like that, and you can't, and you really can do that.
And TJ, I guess you're probably a small percentage of people, because the reality is that most people don't get to
Well, I can
be
tell
in
you
your
like
place.
this.
I mean,
most of the people that I hung out with, back in high school and late middle school, are strung out,
yeah,
dead, or locked up.
yeah.
I'm not. I was one of the ones that got through.
But that's a small percentage,
right?
I mean,
And
so
it was a tough road, man. I mean, that mindset never really goes away. So
I want you to talk about that, because you guys, we were talking earlier, because we've been here for like 15 minutes having a conversation. What I wanted you to talk about, TJ, is that the criminal mindset, you said, for you never goes away.
It really never does go away. I got a second chance. I got a slew of felonies when I was 16 years old, and through my school counselor, my mom giving a shit, and the Lebanon court system seeing something in me and wanting to give me a second chance, I was able to avoid serving any time, and I ended up with just some misdemeanors, and that was contingent upon completing a boot camp program. But even after I did that program gave me some building blocks and some direction and a real slap in the face, like, hey, you need to change your ways, or it's going to get a lot worse for you before it gets better. I ended up going to the military and all that. And even after I was out of the military, I still found myself getting into those situations because that mindset. I mean, once you get tuned into that, in that path of least resistance and kind of, oh man, today was hard, I'm just going to go drink and do whatever, drugs, whatever it is for you. It's really easy to get sucked in, but after 2 DUIs and a whole slew of other bad shit, I finally snapped out of it and was like, okay, time to reset again and
When
get
was
back on the straight and
when
narrow.
was the last time you reset and really got it connected?
Really, I wasn't in any trouble, but when my boys were born,
That's what I was going to guess. I was going to say, was it like 5 years ago, maybe?
It was about 5 years ago
when those two little twin boys came in.
When my twins were born, I just kind of took a long look at the way I was living, which wasn't bad. I was, semi-successful. I was working construction on the road all the time, and I was making good money, and life was pretty good. I didn't really want for much, but when those boys were born, I started really thinking about what they were going to see me doing every day and how that was going to impact and guide them through their life. And I don't want them to have to do the things that I did. So that's really why I kind of made all these changes, you know what I'm saying? And it started long before that, but that was just kind of the icing on the cake is when they came.
So do this. What is the most frightening thing? Not that you did. Don't worry, I'm not going there. Yeah, let's talk about some bad stuff. No, but I mean, when you meet with these kids and stuff, you know instantly when somebody is going to change or when they're not going to change.
They're pretty easy to pick out after a few minutes. They're the ones that are real stubborn and all that. And I'm not ignorant to the fact that I'm not going to help every kid out there. I wish I could, but if I can reach one kid out of 100, I feel like I've done my job. You know what I mean? It's just getting them the information and the opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it is so ballsy of you to do this, and I really like the fact that kids will listen to you, and I think that's what you learn out of
I'd have
life.
listened to them. I'd have been like, damn. Man.
Yeah, but I think we all have. There's different people. If everybody does their part and does their thing, you're going to reach people Ron can't reach. I'm going to reach people Ron can't reach, and everybody. But you come into this, and that takes guts because you're kind of telling your story, and it's not all pretty.
Yeah.
Well, it's not always pretty, man, and some of these kids ain't living a pretty life, so. That's the big thing that I think they're going to relate to.
So you guys, again, it's called the Juggernaut Initiative, and we have up above in the comment section. There's a website you can go to and find out more about what he's doing. Obviously, it's a nonprofit, so you're looking for funding, always looking for ways to get going. Also, if you have a school, TJ lives in Albany, but if you have a school and you want somebody to come in and give an assembly that no one will ever forget. But just think of the kids that you might reach in that school. I mean, I love that this is coming up now, and I hadn't even thought about this honestly until today. This is really what we're looking at, solutions to the gun problem, and this is one of the pieces in that puzzle.
I wouldn't just say gun problem. We're looking for solutions to dealing with what's really falling apart in America. In my opinion, is we don't have any control of.
Well, these kids are our future. You know what I'm saying? So if we don't get them right now, then think where it's going to be in another 20 years.
Right.
Scary thoughts.
Yep.
So Ron, thanks for linking me up with this guy.
Yeah,
And thanks for taking your time.
no problem.
And he really could kick both of our asses right now. That's why we're being nice.
We're.
So Ron, real quick, let's tell TJ about. So TJ, you know how Ron and I met? So we're involved in a group called the Oregon Networking Exchange, and it really, talk about belonging. I think even as adults, we kind of sometimes like to isolate ourselves, and kind of keep away from stuff. So we belong to this group called the Oregon Networking Exchange, and we all are each other's sales force, and we stick up for each other. We care about each other.
We'd love to have you hang out with us one of these times.
Oh God, you should come. You know what we should do? We should actually get him. We meet on Tuesdays at 3:30 at Dickie Joe's in the back, and if you're the first 2 people that come in, we'll buy your first beer.
Or nothing.
Or your Coke or whatever you want. But that's kind of what we do with stuff.
We're not promoting alcohol.
We would love to have you come and be a speaker.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
To kind of show our group, and that's what we do. We bring in outside speakers. We also kind of connect with each other and speaking and stuff like that. But we're really a tight knit group of people. It's like 25 of us, and we honestly, I'm not.
They have me in it, so
we really care about each other, and it's really a force to be reckoned with, and we all kind of fight for each other and do stuff. So when Ron and when I'm looking for shows, he sees him online, says, Rick, you got to get this guy. So then I say, okay, so Ron sponsors a show with Kiefer Mazda, and that's how we can get this information out to you guys. So that's kind of how it all works. Hey, Job. Do you know Job Woosley?
Yeah, I know Job Woosley.
I kind of figured. Not because Job's he's a great musician.
Yes, he is.
Out of Lebanon, and I've done several things with him, and I actually use his music on some of my videos that I produce and stuff. So, Job, we got your friend on here, man. We connect in Lebanon. We go everywhere. I mean, Job's been a friend for a long time. He's had a really interesting life too, and did a really cool video with me with Women's Space and how he grew up and stuff like that. But so it's important to have a parent in your life, and if we don't, then we need people like TJ. Or, and honestly, I think you probably your message to people too is people like Ron and me and TJ, and we all need to go out there and be looking to fill
I
the
just
role.
think as the adults, we need to be providing these kids with resources and opportunity instead of no direction whatsoever.
Right, and quit focusing on the after effects and start looking at what's causing the problems, because we're never going to solve it if we just keep having the same old tired debates.
It's like Eugene, Springfield. If we wouldn't have put dams in there a long time ago, we'd still be flooding every year. Probably would have flooded like crazy yesterday, but smart enough we were like, let's figure out how to keep that from happening. Let's put some dams there.
Yeah, so we do it.
I mean, not that that's a solution, but that's definitely a start. You know what I mean?
So to get a hold of you, the website's the best way?
Yes.
Okay, so if you are looking for somebody to reach out to and have somebody come talk, he's also friends with, remember a few weeks ago we had Jimmy on here. Big Jimmy's another one.
Yeah, we're actually sponsoring Jimmy in his upcoming fight. I think it's the Midtown Throwdown.
On the 21st?
Yes.
Yeah, it's on the 21st of April. All of a sudden I know everything about Throwdown now. God, I'm a big pansy.
Getting hip there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm getting really hip with MMA. I know what's going on. I know it's MMA. First time they said MMA, and I was going,
What's
that? Is that a rating for a movie? And now I know. But Jimmy's kind of scared the hell out of me. He's a big boy.
Guy.
Yeah, you can't get you two coming into a classroom, but you can scare the shit out of people really fast. So Ron, I want to give Ron a really quick chance to, because we are at Kiefer Mazda, and Kiefer Mazda does sponsor the show. And when you need your car worked on, Ron's in charge of the service department here.
And we're, we're here to help people. That's really what we were. That was my goal from the day I started working for this company. We're here to make sure that we build a relationship with people. And so, hey, just to throw out there, there's no strings attached. But if you're interested in buying a car, it doesn't have to be from here. But if you're interested in buying a car and you want a second opinion to make sure it's a good car, come see me. I'll be happy to help you out. Nothing's worse than seeing someone pick up a car and they have all these problems. And we don't have a crystal ball, but we have a definite a skill set that we can at least give you an idea of the car's value.
Because you can hook it up on a computer and look at it.
Oh, we can. We've got guys that have been doing mechanicking for longer
like
than
Jose?
I've been alive. Yeah.
Good
longer than I've
Lord.
been alive. Yeah. Jose, Scott.
He
King,
looks at my car.
Elton. Yeah. And those guys are good at what they do, and they can't see the future, but they can see the moment, and sometimes the moment will tell you whether it's worth buying or not. So.
Because what's fascinating is you guys start looking at you look at stuff I would never think of, like the inside of your bumper. And all of a sudden you realize it says made in Japan in it, and this is an American car. And you're going, could have been an accident? It might have been an accident. You know what we're talking about. So if you are looking for somebody, I need a super high-tech computer analysis. That's what Marilyn said.
Super high-tech computer analysis.
On your car?
Yeah, hopefully we're talking about a car, and we have all the technology to check into cars. So.
Yeah, so Marlene, just call and ask for Ron Sturry at Kiefer Mazda, and they can get you. Need an appointment to do that.
Yeah, I would make an appointment just so I would hate to see you stand in line with a bunch of people. So.
Hey, Derek, thank you, Derek LeBlanc. You're going to be on a future show.
Oh, I love Derek. Hey, Derek.
You know who Derek is? I just got connected with him through all this. He teaches gun safety for kids.
For kids, yeah.
So
he's got a kids program. I think he's got a website. Derek, post your website so everybody can see it.
Yeah, because he just connected with me recently, so we're going to get him on there too. Because all these people are coming out of the woodwork. I think there's a growing number of people like us that are kind of tired of the BS and ready for some real answers. So for real answers, you got to work together and you got to put it out there. And I think there's like people like you want the hard answers. I mean, let's go do the real work. Right. Rather than, because you understand what it means to pussyfoot around something, and we don't buy into that. So anyway, anything else you need to tell them?
Not at all.
Anything else you want to tell them?
No, just thanks for tuning in. Check us out on our Facebook page and take the initiative to make a change.
Yeah, buddy.
I like this guy. All right. Thanks again, Ron and Kiefer Mazda, for sponsoring. So if you're going to go look for something, honor our sponsors and stuff, guys. Also share this on your page so that people that are coming on and feeling hopeless about the situation out there can have a little hope, because this is good stuff. Real Answers is what Derek is teaching. Okay, good. Hey, can you put his website on there for us, Aaron? That'd be great. Oh, Derek's website. Matt Kendall, thank you so much for doing that. KidsSafeFoundation.org.
That's right. Kids Safe
That's the
Foundation.
one. Hi, Gina. All right, you guys. Thank you for being on here. Share this on your page. That's what helps us a ton. Okay, so let me tell you what's up the rest of the week, if I can remember. That's the hard part. When you get 58, your mind kind of goes away. But tomorrow, what are we doing? I just sent out a whole list of all this stuff.
I read it, and I can't tell you.
You can't tell me either. I know on Thursday we're going to Dave Kammerer, and he's going to, because this is fun, he's in our group too, and he's going to be a fashion model for a catwalk for the Boys and Girls Club. So there's a fundraiser going on with that.
Dave, you're going to rock it.
He'll rock it. And we're going to Provisions on Wednesday. Tomorrow we are with Shelter Care, who does some amazing things for people without homes, and they have an employment program that we're going to talk with them about. And then on Friday, we're so booked I can't even remember. But Friday we're going to a local leather maker. He makes leather products. And
Rick
stuff
Dancer
like
does this every day at 12 o'clock.
Every day at
Get on
noon,
Rick
and
Dancer
sometimes
Live.
at different times of the day, sometimes twice a day. But if you want to go back, last week we talked to some tattoo guys about their ideas, and as of today, I think it's over 10,000 views.
Wow.
People really loved being involved in the conversation. So anyway, that's what's going on. And we got a new Rick Dancer television show coming on, and he hasn't even seen the story that he sponsored yet, but it's really amazing. We're going on the coast to Astoria and also to Yachats, and going to introduce you to some really cool places to stay in. The Crab Man. The Crab Man is the guy he said he knows about the mafia. And then he got... So I was a little nervous with that guy. So anyway, have a good day. Spread this around. We'll talk to you guys later. See you later.